Some rumoring going on after Chad Baker-Mazara's surprise portal entry yesterday from a variety of schools that may be involved. But the first that I'm hearing of Kentucky's involvement has been overnight last night. So yesterday when we did the reaction video, it sounded like Illinois may have been involved and may have been sniffing on this a little bit. Haven't heard much more on that other than like there was some initial interest. And yesterday, Jacob Polachek had a story for KSR, basically breaking down the latest on Chad Baker-Mazara's potential fit at Kentucky. I'm going to summarize some of it, but encourage everybody go subscribe to On Three, follow Jacob Polachek, read everything that he does, and all his work with KSR as well. But apparently, sources told those guys in early March, so before the season ended, that Kentucky had at least one eye on Chad Baker-Mazara, and that if he enters the portal, Kentucky could be a landing spot. Now, it sounds like since this has finally happened, there hasn't necessarily been an aggressive push from Kentucky to immediately prioritize this. They're hosting Rylan Griffin, who plays a similar position, in 2 days. So who knows? Who knows exactly who pulled Baker-Mazara into this? But at bare minimum, it is now on record from Kentucky sources that before the season ended, there was some Chad Baker-Mazara to Kentucky smoke. What does that mean to you?
I think it makes a lot of sense. When you think about what Chad Baker-Mazara brings to the team, I think it's exactly what Kentucky's missing. I mean this respectfully. Lamont Butler's a dog. They're losing a dog. I don't think they brought any dogs in, and they just lost a Caden, by the way, also another dog. So I feel like a Baker-Mazara, Otega Owe wing duo that offsets everything you're losing in Lamont Butler. I think that causes teams a lot of fits. I also think, we talk a lot about Chad Baker-Mazara. I'll call it the ups and downs, a bit of the roller coaster of emotions that come with Chad Baker-Mazara. We did a video on him. I think that was either yesterday or the day before, and we discussed how much like Draymond, he needs to find his Steph Curry. That's Mark Pope. If there was ever a coach in the country besides Bruce Pearl, by the way, that could like hone in everything that is Chad Baker-Mazara, I think that's Mark Pope. I think that there was a team, a fan base, a university that needed everything that Chad Baker-Mazara brings to the table, both the ups and the downs. I think that's Kentucky too. I really, really like the fit there.
Okay, I'm going to fight you on that one because the bit all the time is, oh, he's a great fit for the Mark Pope system. Respectfully to Mr. Baker-Mazara, if you watched our full video the first time, I think I hit home on this enough. I listened to it on the golf course yesterday, by the way, just to like sometimes I self audit, like, was this good product or not? And I listened to it, and I think I called him an insane person 14 times in a 7-minute video. So I think that's the correct scout, but just want to be clear on like what you're dealing with here. Mark Pope's whole MO is gratitude. If he brings in Chad Baker-Mazara, all you get is attitude.
Yeah.
That guy's insane. Now, the attitude sometimes is that of a great teammate. I don't mean he's like a horrible person. I just mean like everything Baker-Mazara does comes with extra sauce on it. It's like that meme of the guy who like goes to Subway or goes to Chipotle and it's like, yeah, can I get more beans? And then like he just asked for more beans 11 straight times and the worker's like, you can't get any more beans. Please move on to the meat. He's just like, more beans. That's Chad Baker-Mazara. Like I want a little less crazy and a little more just the basketball skill sets you have. But the whole cell is crazy. Everything he does is unorthodox. It's psychotic. It was a huge part of why Auburn's identity was that of a crazy basketball team, unpredictable. And it can work when it's channeled. Bruce Pearl's talked about it. He's crazy, but he's my kind of crazy. I would just say this. I don't know that Mark Pope has a kind of crazy. I don't think Mark Pope necessarily wants crazy people in his basketball program. I think, for lack of a better way to describe it, I think it's a very buttoned up operation here. Like he sells you on a very clear vision. You come, you execute it. It's mature. Last year's team was very composed and just together and mature. None of those words, composed, together, mature, are things that apply to Chad Baker-Mazara. So even if basketball wise it's a perfect fit, I would be pretty stunned if Mark Pope really did decide to take the risk here. But at the same time, you can't argue anything about the basketball fit because a guy that's as athletic as Baker-Mazara on the wing next to Otega Owe would be deadly for Kentucky basketball.
You might notice there's a lot of lights on behind me. There's a big ring light I'm using to record this. You want to know why those lights stay on? Because of Underdog, because of these ad reads, people.
Yeah, we heard your feedback. You're annoyed that we keep putting Underdog ads in the middle of our videos. Well, guess what? We got to keep the lights on, and we need some people to sign up for Underdog Fantasy. If you like these videos, if you want us to keep making videos, sign up with Underdog Fantasy. Use promo code SLEEPERS, and they actually have an awesome offer for you. You can receive up to $1,000 in bonus credits. 50% of your first deposit will be distributed in bonus credits, and you get a free pick. And Cart, I got a pick with Underdog Fantasy for this weekend that I'm already eyeing. We got the Pistons and the Knicks, first playoff series in a while for our favorite team. Cade Cunningham over 27 and a half points. I'm taking higher than that for my pick with Underdog. Promo code SLEEPERS. Sign up with Underdog Fantasy. It helps the show. It helps us keep making these videos for you. Back to the show.
So I say this a lot. You need to be psycho to win championships. The biggest psychos in the world are the biggest winners when it comes to sports. Chad Baker-Mazara is a psycho. Kentucky needs a psycho. Do they need a group of psychos? I completely agree with you. Mark Pope has a vision. He has a culture. He wants to stick to it. I think for the right player, you go away from all that, right? That's Steph Curry, Steve Kerr, Draymond Green. Completely different people, but Draymond Green's like the right player. I look at it kind of like this. In my opinion, the person that Kentucky was missing down the stretch was Kerr Kriisa, right? A little nuts. A little nuts, a little delusional. He might shoot a 40-footer. He might throw a turnover thinking he's like the greatest passer in the world. That's Chad Baker-Mazara, except for Chad Baker-Mazara is a lot better than Kerr Kriisa. And I think some of that swag, some of that attitude, some of that like extra emphasis that Kerr Kriisa brings to the table, the dancing in the locker room, the dancing on the way out to the court. I think Kentucky was missing that down the stretch. I think Kentucky wound up, I'm be honest, like at times I thought they looked a little soft down the stretch of these games. I think about what did Otega say against Georgia? Like this is y'all Super Bowl, stuff like that. Like that doesn't happen if Chad Baker-Mazara is out there with you. I think that there's an element of like if you go too far, right? Where you go a little too far with like the psycho, like the insane person. That's what Cal did. Cal went a little too far into it. But I think Chad Baker-Mazara is the right like what's the chef's name with the salt?
Oh, Salt Bay.
Yeah, just sprinkle a little Chad Baker-Mazara on this roster.
What I would say, Mark Pope is definitely a I can fix you guy. Like he's definitely that like the college dude who's like, oh, I want the crazy girlfriend. Like I give me a year, I'll get her on the straight and narrow. And look, he has a very wholesome family from what I've seen. I don't think he probably had to flip his lovely wife into a great person. But I could see Mark Pope taking this risk and then maybe by January being like, oh no. Or it works great. I don't know. It'll be something to revisit. The one last note we have to remark on this, which Jacob does a good job laying out in the article as well. This is such a unique recruitment. We talked about it in the original video. If you want the specific details, go back and watch the full breakdown of Baker-Mazara from yesterday. But there's a buyout here. He signed a contract at Auburn. So any school that is actually trying to now employ him next year is literally going to have to pay a buyout, which is just not something that has really ever happened in college sports as far as I know. And I think that could be a turnoff to schools even that maybe in early March thought they wanted Chad Baker-Mazara because you probably thought you would just get Chad Baker-Mazara, oh, clean slate, how much money you want. Instead, Chad Baker-Mazara is going to come into this like, how much money are you giving me? Oh, and by the way, we got to pay the buyout.
Right.
That's a misstep on Baker-Mazara's part, probably. I don't know that Kentucky wants to do that. So to me, it feels like that may be an added barrier here. Gun to my head right now, I don't think Kentucky's going to be a serious option for Baker-Mazara. I think they're going to feel really good about Rylan Griffin, maybe sprinkle in some other options on the wing. But for me, I'd be surprised. Do you agree with me on that in the end?
I think I agree with you. I have to be honest. And I know you're not saying this. If Rylan Griffin's the answer, I think that's crazy. That's as crazy as Chad Baker-Mazara is. If you have those two options and you end up with Rylan Griffin when you could have had Chad Baker-Mazara, like to me, that's nuts.
Baker-Mazara is definitely a better player. I think there's an argument that Griffin does more for a Mark Pope offense, though, because I do think he's just a really elite level shooter. And Baker-Mazara is a good shooter, shot maker, takes some crazy ones. I don't know. They would both work, but to me, Rylan Griffin, you can plug him in and it works. And Baker-Mazara, we would need to see what he looks like plugged into the Mark Pope offense.
I envision Rylan Griffin on the bench at Kentucky when it's
Yeah.
all said and done. I envision Chad Baker-Mazara and Mark Pope like bear hug after they win the SEC.
I mean, I love you advocating for this because you're right. Now I'm picturing it, but here's what I think. Kobe Bryant came off the bench. You get Rylan Griffin, he's Kobe Bryant. That's what it is. It means you convinced him to take that role and he's happy. If you get Chad Baker-Mazara is gonna like think he's John Wall and that Cal's still the coach. And like there's no like, oh, you're gonna be our Kobe. There's no like, ooh, you might do what Andrew Carr did. Chad Baker-Mazara is literally gonna look in everyone's eyes and be like, it's me time, but also it's us time. Like it's not like he's a selfish player. He's just truly a wild card. And I think it would be fascinating to watch Pope try and figure that out. He might be able to do it. But I think it would make his season more challenging than it needs to be, given the other parts they've already got.
What's the craziest school Baker-Mazara could go to that you would believe in him at?
That I believe it would work at.
Yeah,
Ooh, honestly, it's never going to happen, so it's dumb to say, but Michigan State.
yeah. I
I
was gonna
think you
say
put him with Izzo and he just guards and Izzo deals with it, and it's Draymond.
yeah. This is gonna sound nuts. Jace Richardson is a much better player than Chad Baker-Mazara. There's some parallels. There's some parallels.
There are some parallels. I don't want to imagine this world anymore. We'll keep monitoring the Baker-Mazara recruitment. We've got a bunch of Kentucky updates on the channel today. Go check them out.